The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent. 47 species sat in their designated seats, their various forms casting strange shadows under the blue lights. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed softly in the darkness. But all of them shared the same expression today: fear. Ambassador Thelric stood at the center podium. His forearms trembled slightly as he gripped the speaking stone. His kind, the Zenthari, looked like giant mantises from Earth's history books. Their green exoskeletons usually shimmered with confidence, but today, Thelric's looked dull and tired. "We are losing," he said simply. His translator made the words sound flat and emotionless, but everyone could hear the desperation behind them. The Vrex Collective has destroyed the Kepler Gate defense fleet. 80% casualties. They are coming for our core worlds now. Murmurs spread through the hall like wildfire. Some delegates clicked their mandibles in distress. Others released chemical signals of fear that the air filters struggled to clean. The Vrex Collective had been unstoppable for 3 years. They consumed everything in their path. Entire civilizations had vanished, their worlds turned into lifeless husks. Chancellor Morvax, leader of the council, raised his 6-fingered hand for silence. The old Calthian's skin had faded from bright purple to a worried gray. He had led the council for 30 cycles, but nothing in his long life had prepared him for this. "What options remain?" Morvax asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "None that we have not already tried," replied General Corseth, head of the council military. The reptilian commander's scales were scarred from 100 battles. "We have thrown everything at them. Our best weapons barely scratch their shields. Our fastest ships cannot match their speed. Every battle is a massacre." Thelric straightened his posture. He knew what he had to say next would cause an uproar. He had debated this moment for weeks, losing sleep cycles over it, but time had run out. "There is one option we have not tried," Thelric said carefully. "One species we have not asked for help." The hall erupted. Delegates shouted over each other. Some banged their appendages on their desks. Chancellor Morvax had to call for order 3 times before the noise settled. "You cannot be serious," hissed Ambassador Velktar of the Sylph Dominion. The snake-like being's eyes glowed red with anger. "The humans? Those barbaric primitives who rejected our generous offer of membership? Who sealed themselves behind their star system like frightened children?" "Barbaric, yes," Thelrix agreed calmly. "Primitive? I am not so sure anymore." He pulled up a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the hall, showing Earth's solar system. The Sol system, as humans called it. It had been quarantined for 200 years, ever since first contact had gone terribly wrong. 2 centuries ago we met humanity. Thelrix continued. They were violent, unpredictable. They fought wars among themselves even as we spoke of peace. When pirates attacked their colony ship, the human response was so brutal that 3 species filed formal complaints. We labeled them as dangerous and suggested isolation. They agreed and sealed their borders. "Exactly my point," Velktar interrupted. "They are savages. What help could they possibly offer?" Thelrix manipulated the display, zooming in on the outer edges of the Sol system. Strange structures appeared. Massive stations, weapons platforms, ships in configurations no one recognized. "Our long-range scouts have detected unusual activity," Thelrix explained. "Humanity has not been idle during their isolation. They have been building, developing. There are rumors, whispers from traders who venture too close to their borders, stories of weapons that violate council laws, technologies we deemed too cruel to use." General Corseth leaned forward, his interest piqued. "What kind of weapons?" "We do not know the details," Thelrix admitted. "But traders speak of human ships that move faster than anything we have built, of kinetic weapons that strike with the force of small stars, of artificial intelligences that guide swarms of drones. All things our ethics committees banned centuries ago." The hall fell silent again. This time it was a different kind of silence. Not fear of the Vrex, but uncertainty about humanity. Chancellor Morvax spoke slowly. "You suggest we invite the wolves to save us from the tigers?" "I suggest we have no other choice," Thelrix replied. "The Vrex will reach our core worlds in 3 months. Perhaps less. If we do nothing, we will be extinct in a year. If humans are as dangerous as we fear, then perhaps that is exactly what we need." The debate lasted for hours. Some delegates argued passionately against involving humanity. Others reluctantly agreed that desperate times called for desperate measures. In the end, the vote was close. 25 species in favor, 22 against. The humans would be contacted. 3 weeks later, Thelrix found himself aboard a small diplomatic vessel, approaching the edges of human space. His crew was nervous. The last ship that crossed this boundary without permission had been vaporized instantly. Thelrix sent the agreed-upon codes and waited. The response came within seconds. A voice speaking perfect galactic standard, crisp and professional. Zenthari vessel, this is Earth Defense Station 12. State your purpose. I am Ambassador Thelrix of the Galactic Council, he transmitted. I request an audience with your leaders. We require assistance in a matter of galactic security. There was a pause. Thelrix imagined humans on the other end, discussing whether to vaporize his ship or hear him out. Proceed to coordinates we are sending now, the voice finally said. Deviate from the flight path and automated defenses will engage. We will send an escort. The escort arrived within minutes. 3 human ships, each no larger than a standard fighter craft, but they moved with unnatural precision. Their hulls were dark, almost invisible against space except for their running lights. As they guided Thelrix's ship deeper into the Sol system, he saw more of humanity's defenses. Weapon platforms orbited every major planet. Massive railguns pointed outward, their barrels wider than his entire ship. Missile batteries capable of launching thousands of projectiles. And everywhere patrol ships moving in complex patterns, their formations suggesting military precision beyond anything the Council employed. They took him to a space station orbiting Mars. It was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. The station's architecture was purely functional, with none of the artistic flourishes most species preferred. Everything about it screamed efficiency and purpose. Thelrix was escorted through corridors filled with humans in military uniforms. They all stopped to stare at him. Some looked curious, others hostile. One young human touched his weapon nervously as Thelrix passed. The ambassador felt very small and very alone. Finally, he was brought to a conference room. A single human woman waited for him. She wore a crisp black uniform with silver insignia. Her hair was pulled back severely and her blue eyes studied him with cold calculation. She stood when he entered. Ambassador Thelrix, she said, her translator rendering her words in Zenthari. I am Admiral Sarah Kowalski, commander of Earth Defense Fleet. Please sit. Thelrix settled into a chair designed for various alien anatomies. Admiral Kowalski sat across from him, her hands folded on the table. 200 years, she said quietly. That is how long it has been since the Galactic Council told us to stay away. How long since you abandoned the Aurora colony to raiders and told us it was not your problem? How long since you called us barbaric and suggested we remain in our corner of space? Thelrix's mandibles clicked nervously. He had read the historical files. He knew humanity had legitimate grievances, I remember. Thelrix said carefully. The Council failed you then. I will not pretend otherwise. But now the galaxy faces extinction. The Vrex Collective is destroying everything. In 3 months they will reach the core worlds. We are asking for help. Admiral Kowalski's expression did not change. Why should we care what happens outside our borders? You made it clear we were not welcome in your galaxy. Because the Vrex will not stop at Council worlds, Thelrix replied. Once they finish with us, they will come for you. Help us now or face them alone later. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled up a holographic display. Images of Vrex ships appeared along with battle data. We have been monitoring the situation, Kowalski admitted. Our long-range intelligence has tracked the Vrex for 2 years. We know what they are capable of. We also know that your fleets are being slaughtered. She manipulated the display showing different ship designs and weapon systems. Your problem is simple, she continued. You fight like you are playing a game with rules, honor, ethics, measured responses. The Vrex do not care about rules. They care about winning, and so do we. Thelrix felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying you will help us? I am saying we will consider it, Kowalski replied. But there will be conditions. If we fight our way. No council committees second-guessing our tactics. No ethics reviews. No restrictions. You give us operational freedom, or we stay home. The council will agree to any terms, Thelrix said quickly. Perhaps too quickly, but desperation left no room for pride. Admiral Kowalski nodded slowly. Then humanity will help. We will send our expeditionary fleet to your staging area. 50 ships. Thelrix's heart sank. 50. Admiral. The Vrex bring thousands of ships to each battle. The Council's remaining forces number only a few hundred vessels. 50 ships will make no difference for the first time. Admiral Kowalski smiled. It was not a warm smile. Ambassador, you asked for our help because your fleets number in the thousands and are still losing. Perhaps numbers are not what matter. Perhaps 50 of our ships will be enough. Perhaps they will be more than enough. 2 weeks later, Thelric stood in the command center of the Council's primary staging ground. Around him, officers from dozens of species monitored displays and coordinated what remained of their military forces. Everyone was waiting for the human fleet to arrive. When the jump signatures appeared, the room fell silent. 50 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, but they were like nothing Thelric had ever seen. Council ships were elegant with smooth curves and artistic designs. Human ships were brutal. Angular hulls covered in armor plating, massive weapon mounts bristling with railguns and missile pods. No decorations, no wasted space, pure function. General Corseth approached Thelric, staring at the display. The old general's scales had gone pale. Those are warships, Corseth whispered. True warships. Not exploration vessels with weapons added. Not diplomatic cruisers modified for combat. Ships built from the hull up to kill. Admiral Kowalski's face appeared on the main view screen. Behind her, Thelric could see a command bridge filled with human officers working at their stations with focused intensity. This is Admiral Kowalski of the Earth Defense Fleet, she announced. We are ready to receive mission briefing and tactical data. Chancellor Morvax himself appeared on another screen. The old Calthene looked even more tired than before. Admiral Kowalski, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we thank you for coming. We hope your 50 ships will make a difference. Kowalski's expression remained neutral. Chancellor, these are not all of our ships. These are merely what we felt comfortable sending away from home defense. We have 500 more ships in Sol system. This is just our expeditionary force. The command center erupted in shocked murmurs. 500 ships in reserve. Humanity had built a fleet larger than most council members combined, and no one had known. Thelric looked at the human warships on his display, at their brutal efficiency and obvious purpose. For the first time since the war began, he felt something other than despair. He felt a tiny spark of hope, and beneath that hope a different emotion, one that made his mandibles click nervously. Fear. Not fear of the Vrex. Fear of what the humans might do once this war was over. Admiral Sarah Kowalski stood on the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, watching as council officers toured the human warships. Their reactions were predictable: confusion, awe, sometimes fear. She had seen it all before during the inspection period. The council delegation had arrived 3 hours ago. They came aboard with scanning equipment and data tablets, determined to understand the technology that humanity had developed in isolation. What they found confused them more than it enlightened them. A Calthene engineer named Vextel approached Kowalski. His purple skin flushed darker with frustration. He held up a portable scanner that beeped erratically. Admiral, we cannot identify half the systems on this vessel, Vextel said through his translator. Your power generation reads as fusion, but the output levels are impossible for that technology. Your propulsion system uses quantum entanglement for faster-than-light travel, which should not work according to established physics. And these weapons, he gestured helplessly at a nearby display. We have no classification for them at all. Kowalski allowed herself a small smile. Engineer Vextel, humanity has had 200 years to develop without interference. We took paths your council's ethics committees would never have approved. That is why our technology looks alien to you, because it is built on different principles. But the laws of physics are universal. Vextel protested weakly. The laws of physics, yes, Kowalski agreed. But your interpretation of what is possible or ethical? That is what held you back. We had no such limitations. She pulled up a holographic display showing the Prometheus's main weapons array. This is a railgun. Nothing fancy. We accelerate a tungsten rod using electromagnetic force. Simple physics. But we accelerate it to 0.9 of light speed. At that velocity, a small rod carries more kinetic energy than your capital ship's main batteries. When it hits a target, the target ceases to exist in any meaningful way. It does not explode. It vaporizes. Vextel's eyes widened. 0.9 light speed? The energy requirements alone would be enormous, Kowalski finished. Which is why we developed new fusion reactor designs. More efficient, more compact, more powerful. We needed them to run our weapon systems. The council banned kinetic weapons above 0.2 light speed, Vextel said quietly. The ethics committee deemed them too destructive. Too cruel. That is why you are losing, Kowalski replied without emotion. You fight with one hand tied behind your back. You wage war like it is a gentleman's duel with rules and honor. The Vrex wage war like a natural disaster. They do not care about your rules. Neither do we. She switched the display to show another weapon system. These are antimatter torpedoes. Each one carries a gram of antimatter suspended in a magnetic containment field. When the field collapses on impact, matter and antimatter annihilate each other. The explosion is equivalent to 20 kilotons. We carry 500 per ship. Vexatel made a choking sound. Antimatter weapons were banned 300 years ago. The devastation they cause is precisely what we need against the Vrex, Kowalski interrupted. Engineer, I understand your shock. Your species has rules about warfare because you view it as a last resort, something to be avoided if possible, and conducted with restraint when necessary. Humanity views warfare differently. War is inevitable, so we became very, very good at it. She gestured to a nearby tactical officer. Lieutenant Chen, bring up the drone control systems. A new display appeared showing thousands of small icons swarming around the human fleet in complex patterns. Each icon represented a combat drone controlled by artificial intelligence. AI-controlled weapons, Vextel breathed. Those were the first things banned by the Council. Machines making kill decisions without organic oversight? The moral implications are irrelevant when facing extinction, Kowalski said flatly. Each of our capital ships carries 3,000 autonomous combat drones. They coordinate with each other, share targeting data, adapt to enemy tactics in real time, and make decisions faster than any organic crew could. In combat, they deploy as a swarm that overwhelms enemy point defenses through sheer numbers and coordination. She zoomed in on a single drone's specifications. Each drone carries enough explosive power to cripple a frigate. They are designed to kamikaze into high-value targets. We lose thousands in every major battle. That is acceptable because we can manufacture them quickly and they do not require crew. Vexatel was silent for a long moment, staring at the displays. Finally, he spoke in a quiet voice. You built an automated war machine. Yes, Kowalski confirmed. We built it to fight other humans. We fought brutal proxy wars across the Sol system for 50 years. Mars against Earth, the Belt against the inner planets, Europa's colonies against Titans. We killed millions of each other. We developed these weapons to kill our own kind. And then we realized how stupid that was and unified. But we kept the weapons. We kept building. Because we knew that someday, someone out there might threaten us, and we would be ready. A voice interrupted from across the bridge. Admiral, Ambassador Thelrix is requesting to speak with you. Kowalski nodded. Put him through. Thelrix's insectoid face appeared on the main screen. Even through the alien features, Kowalski could read his nervous energy. Admiral Kowalski, I have just received word from Council Intelligence. The Vrex are massing a major fleet near the Proxima Secundus system. They are preparing to attack within 48 hours. The world has 7 billion inhabitants. We are evacuating as many as we can, but most will not escape in time. Kowalski's expression hardened. What forces does the Council have in that sector? 200 ships, Thelrix replied. Everything we could spare. But intelligence estimates the Vrex fleet at 3,000 vessels. It will be a slaughter. We are asking for your help. Our help? Kowalski repeated. Ambassador, we have barely integrated with your command structure. Our officers do not know your protocols. Our ships have not trained with yours. You want us to jump into a battle we have not prepared for? I am asking you to save 7 billion lives, Thelrix said quietly. I know it is not ideal. I know the odds are terrible. But if humanity is as capable as you claim, agreed, Thelrix said immediately. Kowalski was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then she turned to her communications officer. Lieutenant, signal all human vessels. Full battle alert. We jump to Proxima Secundus in 30 minutes. Tell them to prepare for hostile engagement. She looked back at Thelrix. Ambassador, we will be there. But understand this. We fight our way. No council oversight. No questions about our tactics. No after-action ethics reviews. We go in, we destroy the Vrex fleet, we leave. Agreed? Agreed, Thelrix said immediately. Thank you, Admiral. The people of Proxima Secundus thank you. The screen went dark. Kowalski turned to her crew. They were already moving, each officer performing their tasks with practiced efficiency. This was what they had trained for. what humanity had prepared for across 2 centuries of isolation. XO status report, Kowalski ordered. Commander Marcus Webb, her second-in-command, pulled up fleet readiness displays. All vessels reporting green across the board, Admiral. Reactors at maximum output. Weapon systems charged. Drone bays loaded and ready. The fleet can jump on your command. How long until Council forces are ready? Kowalski asked. They estimate 6 hours to prepare their fleet for combat operations, Webb replied. Kowalski shook her head. 6 hours to prepare for battle. No wonder they are losing. Send them our jump coordinates. Tell them to catch up when they can. We are not waiting. Admiral, jumping in without support, Webb began. Is exactly what we need to do, Kowalski interrupted. The Vrex will not expect us. They have never faced human weapons. We hit them hard and fast while they are still figuring out what hit them. By the time Council forces arrive, the battle will already be decided. Webb nodded sharply. Aye, Admiral. Kowalski walked to the center of the bridge, standing in front of the main view screen. Around her, the crew worked at their stations, their faces showing the calm focus that came from years of training. These were not green recruits. Every person on this bridge had seen combat. Every person knew what was coming. All vessels report ready for jump, Admiral, the navigation officer announced. Kowalski took a deep breath. This was it, the moment humanity revealed itself to the galaxy, not as the barbaric isolationists the Council remembered, but as something far more dangerous, a species that had turned warfare into an art form. Execute jump, she ordered. Take us to war. The 50 human warships vanished from Council space in synchronized flashes of light. Behind them, panicked Council officers scrambled to prepare their own forces. They had no idea what they were about to witness. None of them understood that the human fleet was not rushing to join a desperate defense. They were rushing to demonstrate exactly why humanity should never have been isolated, why keeping them locked away from the galaxy had been a mercy, not for humanity, for everyone else. 30 minutes later, 50 human warships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Secundus system. Alarms immediately sounded across every bridge. Sensors confirmed Vrex fleet presence, Lieutenant Chen reported. Counting 2,943 vessels. They are in attack formation around the planet, reading multiple weapon signatures consistent with planetary bombardment preparations. Kowalski studied the tactical display. The Vrex fleet was enormous, a dark swarm surrounding the blue-green world below. Already the first bombardment strikes were falling on the planet's surface. Mushroom clouds bloomed across cities. Millions were dying every second. Distance to enemy fleet? Kowalski asked calmly. 7 million kilometers and closing. We are on intercept course at 0.3 light speed. Status of Council forces? 200 Council ships detected. They are engaging the Vrex but taking heavy casualties. Down to 180 ships and falling fast. Kowalski nodded slowly. As expected, the Council forces were brave but outmatched. They would all be dead within an hour. Do the Vrex know we are here? She asked. Their long-range sensors should have detected us, but they have not altered formation or diverted forces. They appear to be ignoring us, Commander Webb grunted. 50 ships against 3,000. They probably think we are reinforcements for the Council. Not worth their attention. They are about to learn differently, Kowalski said quietly. Weapons, charge all railguns to maximum yield. Antimatter torpedoes, load full complement. Drone bays, prepare for mass deployment. Defensive systems to full power. All systems charging, Admiral, the weapons officer reported. We will be in effective range in 2 minutes. Communications fleet-wide channel. Channel open, Admiral. Kowalski's voice went out to every human ship in the fleet. 50 captains and thousands of crew members heard her words. This is Admiral Kowalski to all vessels. We are about to engage an enemy fleet that outnumbers us 60 to 1. They have never faced human weapons. They do not know what we are capable of. They think we are just another group of Council ships rushing to die bravely. We are going to teach them the error of that assumption. She paused, letting her words sink in. 200 years ago, the galaxy told us we were too violent, too dangerous, too barbaric. They feared what we might do if we were unleashed. Today, they invited us back. They asked for our help. So let us show them exactly what they were afraid of. Let us show the Vrex why humanity is something to fear. Another pause. Execute protocol hammer. All vessels weapons free. Fire at will. The human fleet accelerated directly toward the Vrex armada. They did not slow down. They did not deploy in defensive formations. They charged like ancient cavalry, engines burning at maximum thrust, closing the distance at 0.3 light speed. The Virex finally noticed them. Alerts spread through the enemy fleet as sensors picked up unusual energy signatures. The human ships were not like Council vessels. Their power outputs were wrong. Their weapons configurations were unrecognizable. Their approach was suicidal. Fleet Commander Vormak of the Vrex Collective watched the human ship's approach on his tactical display. His species had evolved from pack hunters on a harsh world. They understood violence in a primal way. They had conquered 67 civilizations through sheer brutality and overwhelming force. Nothing frightened them, until today. Something about these new ships made Vormak's combat instincts scream warnings. They moved wrong, accelerated wrong. Their formations suggested purpose and calculation that felt familiar in a disturbing way. Like looking into a mirror and seeing something predatory staring back. Destroy them, Vormak ordered. All forward batteries target those ships. I want them eliminated before they reach effective weapons range. 300 Vrex warships opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward the human fleet. It was enough firepower to vaporize a planet's surface. It should have annihilated the 50 human ships instantly. The weapons struck the human shields, and nothing happened. Kowalski watched as the Vrex barrage hit her fleet. The shields flickered, turning white-hot for a moment, then returned to normal. The quantum-hardened ablative shields distributed the energy across multiple dimensions, shunting most of it away harmlessly. Shield status, she said calmly. Shields holding at 97%, Admiral. Enemy weapons are ineffective. Range to targets? Entering effective range in 5 seconds. Kowalski's hands gripped the arms of her command chair. Fire. 50 human warships unleashed hell. The railguns fired first. Tungsten rods, each weighing 50 kilograms, accelerated to 0.9 light speed. They crossed the remaining distance in fractions of a second. When they hit Vrex ships, physics took over. The kinetic energy converted instantly to heat and light. Vrex warships did not explode. They did not break apart. They simply ceased to exist, vaporized in microseconds by the relativistic impacts. 200 Virex vessels vanished in the first salvo. Before the Virex fleet could even process what happened, the second wave hit. Antimatter torpedoes streaked through space, their magnetic containment fields barely containing the deadly cargo. They detonated in the densest parts of the Vrex formation. Each explosion created a miniature sun, the matter-antimatter reactions releasing more energy than Vrex shields could possibly absorb. Ships within 500 kilometers of each detonation were instantly destroyed. Ships within 1,000 kilometers were crippled by radiation and electromagnetic pulses. 800 more Vrex ships died in nuclear fire. Then came the drones. 50,000 autonomous combat units poured from the human fleet, like angry insects from a disturbed hive. They moved in perfect coordination, their AI minds communicating at the speed of light, sharing targeting data, identifying priorities, adapting to Vrex defensive patterns in real time. The Vrex point defense systems opened fire desperately. They destroyed hundreds of drones, then thousands. But for every drone destroyed, 10 more slipped through. The drones were small, fast, and smart. They jinked and weaved, used destroyed ships as cover, coordinated their approaches to overwhelm individual targets. They slammed into Virex warships by the hundreds, each one carrying enough explosive power to penetrate hulls and detonate inside. Capital ships shuddered as dozens of drones impacted simultaneously, explosions tearing through their interiors, secondary detonations following as reactors and ammunition stores cooked off. Vormak watched in horror as his fleet disintegrated around him. They had engaged 50 enemy ships. 5 minutes ago, his fleet had numbered nearly 3,000 vessels. Now his tactical display showed fewer than 2,000, and the rate of losses was accelerating. All ships fall back, he ordered desperately. Get us out of here. But the human fleet was not done. They had closed to point-blank range now, moving through the Vrex formation like sharks through a school of fish. More railgun shots, more torpedoes, more drones. The slaughter continued without pause. Council forces, watching from the edges of the battle, sat in stunned silence. Their sensors showed impossible things. Human ships moving at speeds that should tear them apart. Weapons hitting with force that violated energy conservation laws. Drone swarms exhibiting intelligence that made their own AI seem primitive. And everywhere, Vrex ships dying, vaporizing, exploding, breaking apart. The mighty Vrex collective, terror of the galaxy, was being systematically annihilated. Not defeated. Annihilated. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted exactly 5 minutes and 43 seconds from first human railgun shot to the last Vrex ship either destroyed or fleeing. 3,000 Vrex vessels entered the battle. 2,891 were destroyed. 109 escaped, their faster-than-light engines engaging in full retreat. Human casualties, 0. Ammunition expended, 23%. Admiral Kowalski stood on her bridge, watching the debris field that had been the Vrex fleet. Small pieces of wreckage tumbled through space, glowing from residual heat. A few escape pods drifted aimlessly, their occupants broadcasting desperate surrender signals. Status of the planet, she ordered. Bombardment has ceased. Preliminary scans indicate heavy damage to 3 major cities. Estimated casualties in the millions, but the remaining 7 billion inhabitants are safe. Kowalski nodded slowly. Contact the Council fleet. Inform them that the Vrex have been eliminated. They should proceed with evacuation and relief operations. Admiral, Commander Webb said quietly, we just destroyed an entire fleet. The Council forces saw everything. They are going to have questions. I know, Kowalski replied. She looked at the tactical display. At the 50 human ships holding position in perfect formation. Not a single vessel damaged. Not a single casualty. Let them ask. We did what they could not. We saved those people down there. If the Council has a problem with our methods, they should not have asked for our help. On the main view screen, incoming transmissions started flooding in from Council ships. Requests for information, demands for tactical data, questions about human casualties, confusion about what they had just witnessed. Kowalski ignored them all. She had one more message to send. Communications, tight beam transmission to Earth. Tell command that first contact with the Vrex is complete. The enemy has been engaged and defeated with minimal resource expenditure. We await further orders. Message sent, Admiral. Kowalski sat back in her command chair. The easy part was over. The battle was won. Now came the difficult part. Explaining to the galaxy exactly what humanity had become during their 200 years of isolation, and dealing with the inevitable question that would follow. If humans could do this to the Vrex, what could they do to everyone else? The silence in the Council Command Center was absolute. Officers from 47 species stood frozen at their stations, staring at displays that showed impossible things. The Vrex fleet, 3,000 strong, had been annihilated in under 6 minutes. The human fleet of 50 ships sat undamaged among the debris field. Ambassador Thelrix felt his legs give out beneath him. He collapsed into his chair, mandibles clicking uncontrollably. His mind struggled to process what his eyes had seen. The math was simple but terrifying. 3,000 enemy ships destroyed, 50 human ships untouched. It was not a battle. It was an execution. General Korzeth approached slowly, his clawed hand gripping the back of Thelrix's chair for support. The old general's scales had gone completely gray with shock. What are they? Korzeth whispered. What in the name of the ancestors are they? Before Thelrix could respond, Admiral Kowalski's face appeared on every screen in the command center. Her expression was calm, almost bored, like she had just completed routine training exercises rather than the most devastating victory in recorded galactic history. Council Command, this is Admiral Kowalski, she said crisply. Vrex fleet has been eliminated. The planet Proxima Secundus is secure. Human forces are standing by for further orders. We have sufficient munitions remaining for 2 more engagements of similar scale. 2 more engagements. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Humanity had barely used a quarter of their ammunition to destroy an entire Vrex armada. What could they do at full capacity? Chancellor Morvax finally found his voice. The old Kalthine's skin had turned almost white with shock. Admiral Kowalski, we thank you for your assistance. The people of Proxima Secundus owe you an enormous debt. But we must ask, what happened here? How did you achieve such a decisive victory? Kowalski's expression did not change. We engaged the enemy using standard human combat doctrine. Our weapons performed as designed. The Vrex fleet was destroyed. Is there something unclear about those facts, Chancellor? Admiral, Morvax said carefully, you destroyed 3,000 warships in less than 6 minutes. Your entire fleet suffered 0 casualties. This is unprecedented in the history of galactic warfare. We need to understand how this is possible. With respect, Chancellor, you need to understand that this is what war looks like when it is conducted properly, Kowalski replied. The Vrex were using outdated tactics and inferior weapons. We exploited those weaknesses. That is all. Thelrix leaned forward, his voice shaking. Admiral, your railguns achieved velocities we thought impossible. Your shields absorbed damage that should have vaporized your ships. Your autonomous drones displayed coordination beyond anything we have seen. This is not simply superior tactics. You possess technology centuries beyond anything in Council space. 200 years beyond, Kowalski corrected. That is how long you gave us to develop without interference. We used that time productively. A new voice cut into the channel. Cold, calculating. It came from one of the Council's science vessels. Admiral Kowalski, this is Research Director Malketh. I have been analyzing your weapon signatures. The kinetic energy of your railgun projectiles exceeds the theoretical maximum for electromagnetic acceleration. The antimatter reactions show containment efficiency that violates thermodynamic principles. Your faster-than-light drives leave quantum signatures that should not exist. How is any of this possible? Kowalski smiled slightly. Director Malketh, your theories assume certain limitations that we decided to challenge. Your laws of physics are correct. Your assumptions about what those laws allow? Not so much. That is not an answer, Malketh snapped. I am asking for... You are asking for information about human military technology, Kowalski interrupted. Information that humanity considers classified. If the Council wishes to understand our weapon systems, you can submit a formal request through diplomatic channels. I am sure our government will give it all the consideration it deserves. The implied refusal was clear. Humanity would not be sharing their secrets, not now, perhaps not ever. Chancellor Morvax raised a hand for calm. Admiral, we do not wish to create tension between our peoples. You have proven your capabilities beyond any doubt. The Galactic Council is grateful for your assistance. We are simply trying to understand our new allies. Understood, Chancellor, Kowalski replied. But the Council should also understand something important. We came here because you asked for help. We destroyed the Virex because it needed to be done. But we are not your military. We are not your weapons. We are an independent power offering temporary assistance. Do not mistake our cooperation for subordination. The command center fell silent again. Every species present understood the message. Humanity was not asking to join the Galactic Council. They were not seeking approval or integration. They were stating a simple fact. We are here. We are powerful. Deal with it. Thelrix made a decision. Someone had to bridge this gap before it became unbridgeable. Admiral Kowalski, may I come aboard your vessel? I would like to discuss the next steps in this campaign. Face to face, if you will permit it. Kowalski considered for a moment. Permission granted, Ambassador. Transmitting docking coordinates now. Come alone. 20 minutes later, Thelrix found himself back aboard the EDS Prometheus. The human crew eyed him with expressions ranging from curious to hostile. He could not blame them. 200 years of isolation, caused partly by the Council's treatment of humanity. That kind of resentment did not fade easily. Admiral Kowalski met him in the same conference room as before. This time, Commander Webb stood behind her. The Exo's expression was carefully neutral, but Thelrix sensed the protective stance. These humans were loyal to each other. That much was clear. Ambassador Thelrix, Kowalski said, gesturing to a seat. You wanted to discuss next steps. What did you have in mind? Thelrix settled into the chair, trying to project calm despite his internal turmoil. Admiral, what happened today will change everything. The entire galaxy just watched humanity destroy the most feared military force in known space. Within hours, every major power will be analyzing that battle. Within days, they will be asking questions. Within weeks, they will be making decisions about how to respond to humanity's existence. Let them, Kowalski replied. Humanity is not seeking their approval. I understand that, Thelrix said carefully. But you must understand the position this puts the Council in. For 3 years, we have been losing a war of extinction. We begged humanity for help because we were desperate, and now in a single battle, you have proven that you could have ended this war at any time. You could have saved billions of lives, but you chose not to, because we isolated you 2 centuries ago. Kowalski's expression hardened. We chose not to intervene because it was not our war. The Vrex were your problem. You only made them our problem when you came asking for help. If you are looking for an apology for our delayed response, you will not get one. I am not looking for an apology, Thelric said quickly. I am trying to help you understand how the Council will react. There are species on the Council who will see today as proof that humanity should never have been isolated, that we made a terrible mistake 200 years ago. But there are others who will see today as proof that humanity is too dangerous to exist, that you are a threat that must be contained before you turn on us. Commander Webb leaned forward, his voice hard. Is that a threat, Ambassador? No, Thelric said firmly. It is a warning. I am trying to help you navigate the politics that are about to explode across Council space. Because like it or not, Admiral, humanity is now part of galactic affairs. You cannot destroy 3,000 warships in front of witnesses and expect to return to isolation afterward. Kowalski was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. You are right, of course. We knew this was inevitable. Earth Command hoped we could finish this war quickly and quietly, but that ship has sailed. So tell me, Ambassador, what do you suggest? Transparency, Thelric replied immediately. Not about your technology. I understand that must remain classified. But about your intentions. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity is not seeking conquest, that you came to help, not to conquer. We did come to help, Kowalski said, but the Council should also understand that we are not the gentle, peaceful species they might hope for. We are warriors, Ambassador. We spent 200 years fighting each other, perfecting the art of war. We unified because we realized the real threats were external, not internal. But we did not lose our edge. We sharpened it. Then help me understand that edge, Thelric said, because I am trying to advocate for humanity among my people. I am trying to convince them that you are potential allies, not future enemies. But I need to understand what drives you, what humanity wants from this galaxy. Kowalski stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, human warships hung in perfect formation against the stars. Beyond them, the blue-green curve of Proxima Secundus was visible, scarred but surviving. What does humanity want? She repeated quietly. 200 years ago, we wanted acceptance. We wanted to explore the stars, make friends, share knowledge. The galaxy told us no, told us we were too violent, too primitive, too dangerous. So we went home. We built our own civilization. We thrived without the Council's help. She turned to face Thelric directly. Now, we want to be left alone. We want our independence respected. We want the galaxy to acknowledge that we exist on our own terms, not theirs. And we want to ensure that no one ever threatens Earth or her colonies. That is all. We are not seeking to conquer anyone. We are not interested in building an empire. We just want our corner of space and the strength to keep it safe. Then why help us? Thelric asked. If all you want is isolation, why risk your ships and your people for a council that rejected you? Because the Virex would not have stopped with you, Kowalski replied. Eventually they would have come for us. Better to stop them now while we have allies, even reluctant ones, than face them alone later. Strategic pragmatism, Ambassador. Nothing more. Thelric nodded slowly. He believed her. Perhaps that was naive, but something in her tone rang true. Humanity was not seeking conquest. They were seeking security. The problem was their definition of security involved weapons capable of destroying fleets in minutes. I will carry your message to the Council, Thelric said. I will advocate for peaceful coexistence and mutual respect. But, Admiral, you must give me something to work with. Some gesture that proves humanity's good intentions. Kowalski thought for a moment. Very well. We will share limited tactical information about the Virex. Ship capabilities, weapons loadouts, standard tactical formations. Nothing about human technology, but enough to help Council forces defend themselves better. Will that suffice? It is a start, Thelric replied. Thank you, Admiral. Do not thank me yet, Kowalski said grimly. This war is not over. Today was one battle. The Vrex Collective is vast. They have lost a fleet, but they have hundreds more scattered across their territory. They will retaliate. And when they do, they will be ready for us. The next battle will not be so easy. Will you stay? Thelric asked. Will humanity continue to fight alongside us? For now, Kowalski confirmed. But understand that our commitment is conditional. If the Council tries to dictate our tactics or question our methods, we leave. If Council politics interfere with military operations, we leave. We are here to win this war, not play games. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Admiral, Thelric replied. As Thelric's shuttle departed the Prometheus, he looked back at the human fleet. 50 ships, Just 50, and they had changed the course of galactic history in 6 minutes. What would happen when Earth sent the rest of their fleet? What would happen when humanity revealed the full extent of their military power? He hoped the galaxy was ready for the answer. Because ready or not, humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. Across the galaxy, in the heart of Rex territory, Fleet Commander Vormak knelt before the Supreme Collective. His flagship had barely escaped the battle at Proxima Secundus. Of the 3,000 ships under his command, only 109 survived. It was the worst defeat in Vrex history. "You failed," the Supreme Collective said. Its voice echoed through the chamber, cold and emotionless. The Supreme Collective was not an individual but a Gestalt consciousness, the merged minds of the Vrex ruling caste. It spoke with absolute authority. "I encountered an unknown enemy," Vormak replied, keeping his voice steady despite his fear. "A species not in our databases. Their technology exceeded anything we have encountered. Their weapons—" "Your excuses are irrelevant," the Collective interrupted. "You lost 3,000 warships to 50 enemy vessels. This is unacceptable. It cannot be tolerated. It will not be repeated. With respect, Supreme Collective, this enemy is unlike anything we have faced before," Vormak insisted. "They employ weapons we have never seen, tactics we have never encountered. They fight without honor, without restraint, without mercy. They fight like us," the Collective finished. "You are describing an enemy that fights like the Vrex. This intrigues us." "Who are these warriors?" "They call themselves humans," Vormak replied. "From a species the Council isolated 200 years ago. Apparently the Council made a grave error in judgment." The Supreme Collective was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its tone had changed. Less angry, more curious. "Show us the battle data. Everything. We wish to understand this enemy." Vormak transmitted the recorded sensor logs from his surviving ships. The Collective analyzed them in seconds, its merged consciousness processing information faster than any individual mind could. "Fascinating," the Collective said. "Kinetic weapons at near-light speed. Antimatter warheads, autonomous combat drones, defensive shields of unknown design, and all of this deployed with tactical precision that suggests extensive combat experience. These humans are worthy adversaries." "What are your orders, Supreme Collective?" Vormak asked. "We will suspend offensive operations against Council worlds," the Collective announced. "All available forces will be redirected to studying this human threat. We will capture their ships, analyze their technology, learn their weaknesses, and when we are ready, we will return to Council space with overwhelming force. We will destroy the humans first, then we will finish consuming the Council." "How many ships should I requisition?" Vormak asked. "All of them," the Collective replied. "Every warship in Vrex space. We will not underestimate these humans again. If 50 of their ships can destroy 3,000 of ours, we will bring 30,000 to their next battle. We will crush them through sheer weight of numbers. No mercy, no restraint. Total annihilation." Vormak felt a chill run through his body. The Supreme Collective was committing the entire Vrex military to a single objective. This was unprecedented, but as he remembered the human weapons tearing through his fleet, he understood. Humanity was not just another enemy. They were an existential threat. "It will be done, Supreme Collective," Vormak said, bowing low. "See that it is," the Collective replied. "The humans have declared themselves. Now we will show them what happens when they threaten the Vrex Collective. We will show them that there are worse things in this galaxy than the Council feared humanity to be. We will show them that we are one of those things." Vormak departed the chamber and immediately began issuing orders. Fleet marshalling points were established. Supply lines were organized. Ship captains were briefed on the new priority target. Within hours, the largest military mobilization in Vrex history was underway. 30,000 warships began moving toward Council space. Not to conquer, not to assimilate, but to destroy a single species that had dared to challenge Vrex supremacy. Humanity had won the first battle. But the war was about to become something far more terrible. Something that would test whether human weapons and human tactics were enough to stand against an enemy that could match their ruthlessness and far exceed their numbers. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen when an unstoppable force met an immovable object. When the Vrex war machine collided with human military doctrine, when two species that lived for war finally found worthy opponents in each other, the answer would be written in fire and blood across a dozen star systems. And when it was over, The survivors would remember this moment. The moment everything changed. The moment humanity revealed themselves not as saviors or conquerors, but as something the galaxy had never seen before. Warriors. True warriors. The kind that emerged from a species that nearly destroyed itself learning how to kill, then unified just in time to turn those skills outward. The Vrex were about to learn what the Council had suspected 2 centuries ago. That humanity was dangerous. Not despite their capacity for violence, but because of it. Because they had refined violence into an art form. Because they understood war in a way that most species, even warrior species like the Vrex, could never match. They understood that war was not about honor or glory or conquest. War was about winning, at any cost, by any means, with absolute commitment and zero hesitation. And humanity was very, very good at winning. News of the Battle of Proxima Secundus spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Within hours, every major civilization had received the transmission. Within days, the entire galactic community was watching the battle footage on endless repeat. 3,000 Virex warships destroyed in less than 6 minutes. 50 human vessels untouched. The numbers were clear. The implications were terrifying. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Every species sent their highest-ranking officials. The Grand Chamber, usually filled with diplomatic pleasantries and careful negotiations, buzzed with heated arguments and fearful whispers. Humanity had changed everything, and no one knew how to respond. Chancellor Morvax called the session to order, his skin still pale from shock. Honored delegates, we face an unprecedented situation. The human species has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond anything in Council records. We must decide how to proceed. Ambassador Velktar of the Sylph Dominion rose first, his serpentine form coiling with agitation. What is there to decide, Chancellor? We invited monsters to save us from predators. Now we must deal with the consequences. The humans are too dangerous to exist freely. They must be controlled or eliminated before they turn on us. The chamber erupted in shouts. Some delegates agreed. Others protested. The noise reached deafening levels before Morvax restored order. Ambassador Velktar, humanity just saved 7 billion lives on Proxima Secundus, countered Representative Daxtal of the Hanari Collective. The bird-like delegate's feathers ruffled with indignation. They came when we asked. They fought when we needed them. They asked for nothing in return. How does this make them monsters? They destroyed 3,000 ships without breaking a sweat, Velktar hissed. They possess weapons we cannot comprehend. They follow no laws we recognize. Today they fight the Vrex. Tomorrow, what prevents them from turning those weapons on us? Common sense, said a new voice. Ambassador Thelrix stepped forward, his mandibles clicking nervously but his posture determined. I have spoken with Admiral Kowalski. I have toured their ships. I have seen their capabilities firsthand. And I can tell you that humanity is not interested in conquest. They want security. Nothing more. You trust their words? Velktar scoffed. Ambassador Thelrix, you have been compromised by your interactions with them. You see them as saviors because they arrived when you were desperate. But I see them for what they are. A threat to everything the Council stands for. The Council stands for unity and mutual protection, Thelrix replied calmly. How is accepting humanity's help against that? Because they did not help us, Velktar snapped. They demonstrated their superiority. They showed us that everything we built, every ship we designed, every tactic we developed, is worthless against their technology. They humiliated us while pretending to help us. Chancellor Morvax raised his hand for silence. This debate is not productive. We need information, not speculation. I have invited human representation to this session. They will address our concerns directly. The main doors opened. Admiral Sarah Kowalski entered the chamber, flanked by 2 human officers. She wore her dress uniform, black with silver insignia, and walked with military precision. Every eye in the chamber followed her as she approached the central podium. Admiral Kowalski, Morvax said formally, thank you for accepting our invitation. The Council has questions about the recent battle and humanity's role in this conflict. I am here to answer them, Chancellor, Kowalski replied. Her voice was steady, professional, showing none of the tension that filled the room. Velkhtar did not wait for formal protocols. Admiral, explain to this council how humanity developed weapons that violate every technological limitation we have established. Explain how 50 ships destroyed 3,000. Explain how you possess capabilities that should not exist. Kowalski turned to face the Serpentine ambassador directly. Ambassador Velkhtar, humanity developed our technology through 2 centuries of research and development. We had no council oversight limiting our innovations, no ethics committees declaring certain avenues of research off limits. We pursued every possible advantage because we knew the universe was dangerous. The Battle of Proxima Secundus proved we were correct. You pursued forbidden technologies, Velkhtar accused. Antimatter weapons, artificial intelligence warfare, near-light kinetic bombardment. These were all banned by council law for good reason. Banned by laws we never agreed to, Kowalski pointed out. Ambassador, humanity is not a council member. We are not bound by your regulations. You invited us to help with the Vrex, we helped. If you have complaints about our methods, perhaps you should have been more specific in your request. Representative Daxtal spoke up. Admiral, I believe Ambassador Velkhtar is expressing a concern shared by many. Not that you broke our laws, but that your capabilities far exceed anything we can match. This creates an imbalance of power that makes some species uncomfortable. I understand the concern, Kowalski acknowledged. But uncomfortable or not, the facts remain. Humanity possesses advanced military technology. We use that technology to defeat the Vrex. If the Council wishes to develop similar capabilities, that is your choice. But we will not handicap ourselves to make others feel better. What are your intentions? Asked Council Military Commander Korseth. The old general had been silent until now, observing carefully. Admiral, you have proven your strength. What do you want? Territory? Resources? Political power within the council? We want none of those things, Kowalski replied. As I told Ambassador Thelrix, humanity's goal is simple. We want our independence respected. We want our territory left alone. We want to ensure that no external threat can harm Earth or her colonies. That is all. Then why fight for us? Korseth pressed. If you only care about your own security, why risk your people to save ours? Strategic pragmatism, Kowalski said. The Vrex would not have stopped with the Council. Eventually, they would have come for human space. Better to stop them now while we have potential allies than face them alone later. Additionally, this conflict allows us to field test our weapons and gather intelligence on major galactic threats. It serves multiple purposes. The brutal honesty of her answer shocked some delegates. Others nodded in understanding. At least the humans were not pretending their motives were purely altruistic. Chancellor Morvax leaned forward. Admiral Kowalski, the Council appreciates your assistance. But we need assurances. The galaxy needs to know that humanity will not use its power to threaten other species. Can you provide such assurances? No, Kowalski said bluntly. I can tell you that humanity has no current plans for conquest or aggression against Council members. I can tell you that we prefer peaceful coexistence. But I cannot guarantee anything beyond that. If another species attacks human territory, we will respond with overwhelming force. If anyone threatens Earth, we will destroy them. Those are not threats, Chancellor. Those are facts. The chamber fell silent. Her words were not diplomatic. They were not comforting. But they had the ring of absolute truth. Then what prevents the next war? Velkhtar demanded. What stops humanity from deciding that Council space would make nice colonies? What stops you from deciding that other species are threats that need eliminating? The same thing that stops any war, Kowalski replied. Mutual deterrence, cost-benefit analysis, common sense. Ambassador, we could conquer Council space if we wanted to. Our military superiority makes that clear. But why would we? We have everything we need in Sol system. We have no interest in governing alien populations or managing interstellar empires. War is expensive. Peace is profitable. We choose peace until someone forces us to choose war. Pretty words, Velkhtar muttered. But words are cheap. Then let me offer something more concrete, Kowalski said. Humanity is willing to enter into a mutual defense pact with the Galactic Council. We will commit to defending Council space from external threats. In return, the Council recognizes human sovereignty over Sol system and our colony worlds. We establish formal diplomatic relations. We share limited technological information that helps the Council defend itself without giving away classified military secrets. This creates a framework for peaceful coexistence based on mutual benefit. Thelrix's mandibles clicked excitedly. This was more than he had hoped for. A formal alliance between humanity and the Council would stabilize the entire region and give both sides reason to maintain peace. But Velkhtar was not convinced. And if the Council refuses this offer? What then? Kowalski's expression hardened. Then humanity finishes helping you defeat the Vrex, returns to Sol system and seals our borders. You will never see us again unless you come looking for trouble. We are offering partnership. If you refuse, we offer isolation. Those are the only two options. Chancellor Morvac stood, his aged body moving with surprising energy. The Council will need time to debate this proposal. But personally, Admiral, I support the idea of formal alliance. We have fought the Vrex for 3 years. We have lost millions. Humanity ended a major engagement in 6 minutes. That is the kind of ally we need. There is one more thing the Council should know, Kowalski said quietly. Our intelligence indicates that the Vrex are marshalling their entire military for a massive counterattack. They are not giving up. They are preparing to come at us with everything they have. Tens of thousands of ships. Perhaps more. They will not make the mistake of underestimating us again. The chamber erupted in panic. Delegates shouted questions. Some called for immediate evacuation of core worlds. Others demanded military mobilization. The fear that had been briefly pushed aside by the victory at Proxima Secundus came flooding back. How long do we have? Korseth demanded. Unknown, Kowalski replied. Weeks at minimum. Months at maximum. The Vrex are mobilizing forces from across their territory. When they come, it will be with overwhelming numbers. This will be the decisive battle of the war. Can you win? Morvac asked simply. All the politics, all the debates, all the fears came down to that single question. Admiral Kowalski, when the Vrex come with their full might, can humanity stand against them? Kowalski met his gaze steadily. I do not know, Chancellor. At Proxima Secundus we had technological superiority and the element of surprise. In the next battle, the Vrex will be prepared. They will bring numbers that even our weapons cannot easily overcome. We will fight. We will make them pay for every meter of space, but I cannot guarantee victory. Her honesty was refreshing even as it was terrifying. She was not boasting about human invincibility. She was stating military reality. They were good, perhaps the best, but they were not gods. Then we fight together, Korseth said firmly. The old general rose to his feet, his scarred scales gleaming. If the Vrex are coming with everything, then the Council commits everything as well. Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. We combine our forces with humanity's. We make our stand together or fall together. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Whatever fears the delegates had about humanity, they feared the Vrex more. And if there was a chance that combining forces could win, they would take it. Chancellor Morvac looked around the chamber, gauging the mood. Is there a second to General Korseth's proposal? I second, Thelrix said immediately. All in favor of full military alliance with humanity for the duration of the Vrex conflict? Hands, claws, tentacles, and various other appendages rose throughout the chamber. The vote was nearly unanimous. Only Velkhtar and a handful of others abstained. Then it is decided, Morvac announced. The Galactic Council formally allies with humanity. Admiral Kowalski, you will have full access to Council military resources and intelligence. In return, we ask for your continued support against the Vrex threat. Agreed, Kowalski said. I will coordinate with General Korseth to integrate our forces. We have a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. As the session ended and delegates filed out, Thelrix approached Kowalski. You were honest with them. You did not promise easy victory or minimize the danger. I appreciate that. Lying would not help anyone, Kowalski replied. The Vrex are coming. The next battle will be hell. But at least now we face it together. Admiral, may I ask you something personal? Thelrix said. Go ahead. You spoke about humanity's wars. About fighting each other for 50 years. About millions dying. Does that haunt you? The cost of becoming so good at war? Kowalski was quiet for a moment. Every day, Ambassador. Every day I remember the battles of the Belt Wars, the Mars Rebellion, the Europa Incident. I remember friends who died fighting other humans over resources and ideology and stupid pride. Yes, it haunts me. But it also taught us something important. That war between civilized species is the worst kind of waste. That we need to direct our capacity for violence outward. Against real threats, not inward against each other. That lesson cost millions of lives. I will not let those deaths be meaningless. You carry a heavy burden, Thelrix observed. So do you, Kowalski replied. You convinced your people to trust humans, to ally with monsters, as Velktar called us. That took courage. I convinced them because I believe you meant what you said, that humanity wants peace. We do, Kowalski confirmed. But Ambassador, understand something. We want peace because we know the cost of war, not because we fear it. There is a difference. And in the coming battle, the Vrex will learn that difference the hard way. Across the galaxy, in Vrex territory, Fleet Commander Vormak stood aboard his new flagship, watching as thousands of warships gathered. This was just one of 30 assembly points. At each one, 1,000 ships prepared for war. The largest military force the Vrex had ever assembled. All for one purpose, destroying humanity. The Supreme Collective's voice echoed through his mind. Status report. Assembly is proceeding as planned, Supreme Collective, Vormak reported. 28,000 warships have reached their marshalling points. Another 5,000 are en route. We will be ready to launch the offensive within 3 weeks. The humans will not expect such numbers, the Collective said with satisfaction. They defeated 3,000 ships through technological surprise. But technology means nothing when buried under sufficient mass. We will overwhelm them. 30,000 ships against their 50. Even their weapons cannot kill fast enough. What of the Council forces? Vormak asked. Intelligence suggests they are combining their fleet with the humans. Irrelevant, the Collective replied. The Council's weapons are ineffective against our shields. Only the humans pose a real threat. Once they are eliminated, the Council will fall within weeks. We will assimilate everything. Their worlds, their resources, their populations, all will serve the Vrex. Vormak felt the familiar anticipation of battle. This time would be different. This time they would not underestimate the enemy. This time they would bring overwhelming force. And this time, the humans would learn that there were some enemies that even advanced technology could not defeat. The countdown had begun. 3 weeks until the largest space battle in galactic history. 3 weeks until humanity's weapons faced a test beyond anything they had encountered. 3 weeks until the galaxy learned whether 50 human ships and their Council allies could stand against 30,000 Vrex warships bent on total annihilation. The stakes could not be higher. If humanity won, they would secure their place among the stars and cement the alliance with the Council. If they lost, the Vrex would consume everything. Earth would fall. The Council would collapse. An entire section of the galaxy would go dark. There would be no middle ground. No negotiated settlement. No honorable retreat. Just war, pure and absolute. Survival or extinction. That was all that remained. And on both sides, warriors prepared for battle, knowing that the outcome would echo through history for generations to come. 23 days after the Battle of Proxima Secundus, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history gathered at the Kepler Gate. 550 human warships stood in perfect formation, their dark hulls absorbing light like holes in space. Around them, 800 Council vessels from 47 different species formed a protective sphere. This was it. The final stand. Everything came down to what happened in the next few hours. Admiral Sarah Kowalski stood on the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, watching the tactical displays. Her fleet had grown. Earth Command had sent 500 additional ships. Every available human warship now stood ready for combat. This was not a token force. This was the full might of humanity's military. Sensor contact, Lieutenant Chen reported. Multiple jump signatures at extreme range. Counting. Admiral, I am reading 30,317 Vrex vessels. They are emerging from faster than light in attack formation. 30,000. The number was staggering. Even prepared for it, Kowalski felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. The Vrex had brought everything. Every ship, every weapon, every warrior. They were not here to fight a battle. They were here to wage total war. Status of Council forces? Kowalski asked calmly.
All 800 ships reporting ready, Admiral, Commander Webb replied. General Korseth confirms his forces are prepared for combat operations under human tactical command. That had been the key negotiation. The Council agreed to place their entire fleet under human command for this battle.
It went against centuries of tradition and pride, but desperation made compromises necessary. General Korseth had supported the decision, recognizing that unified command was essential for survival. Communications, fleet-wide channel, Kowalski ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Kowalski's voice went out to 1,300 ships. Human and alien crews alike heard her words. This is Admiral Kowalski to all vessels. The Vreks have brought 30,000 warships to this battle. They outnumber us roughly 23-1. They come here seeking revenge for their defeat at Proxima Secundus. They come here to destroy humanity and eliminate the Council. They come here believing that superior numbers will overcome our technological advantage. She paused, letting the weight of those numbers sink in. They are partially correct. Numbers matter in warfare, mass matters, and they have overwhelming mass on their side. But they are also wrong. They do not understand what they are facing. They see humans as just another species with advanced weapons. They see the Council as the same defeated force they have been crushing for years. They do not understand that we are different now, that we fight together, that we have adapted and learned and prepared for exactly this moment. Another pause. 200 years ago, humanity was told we were too dangerous for civilized space. Today we prove that assessment was correct. We are dangerous, not to our allies, but to our enemies. We are the most dangerous thing in this galaxy. Today, we show the Vreks what it means to face humanity and her allies. Today we show them that some species should never be provoked. Today we write a message in fire and blood that will echo across the stars for 1,000 years. You do not threaten Earth. You do not threaten the Council. You do not threaten any of our worlds. Because if you do, we will come for you, all of us. And we will not stop until the threat is eliminated. Final pause. All ships, weapons free. Execute Battle Plan Omega. For Earth, for the Council, for survival. The combined fleet surged forward. Unlike at Proxima Secundus, they did not charge recklessly. They moved in careful formation, human ships in the vanguard, Council vessels providing support and coverage. They had planned this battle for 3 weeks. Every ship knew its role. Every captain understood the strategy. This was not improvisation. This was calculated warfare conducted by experienced commanders against a desperate enemy. The Vreks fleet advanced to meet them. 30,000 warships moving as one, their formation, designed to maximize overlapping fields of fire and prevent the concentrated attacks that had devastated them before. They had learned from Proxima Secundus. They would not cluster. They would not present easy targets. They would use their numbers to surround and overwhelm. Enemy fleet splitting into 3 prongs, Chen reported. They are attempting to envelop us from multiple vectors. Anticipated, Kowalski replied. Execute counter-move Alpha. Human squadrons 1 through 10 engage the central prong. Squadrons 11 through 30 hold position and prepare to intercept flanking forces. Council fleet, focus on defensive screening and anti-missile operations. Orders flashed across 1,300 ships. The fleet shifted formation smoothly, adapting to Vreks movements with practiced precision. 3 weeks of integrated training showed in the coordination. Human and Council forces moved as a single organism, responding to threats before they fully materialized. The Vreks opened fire at maximum range. 30,000 ships unleashing plasma torpedoes and energy beams in a wave that lit up space like a second sun. The combined firepower was beyond calculation. Enough to vaporize planets, enough to boil oceans, enough to kill gods. The human shields held, but barely. The quantum-hardened ablative shielding that had shrugged off Vreks weapons at Proxima Secundus now flickered and strained under the massed barrage. Warning alerts sounded across multiple bridges. Shield generators overheated. Power conduits strained. The sheer mass of incoming fire was too much for even human technology to completely dismiss. Shields down to 60%, Admiral, Webb reported. We cannot sustain this level of bombardment for long. We do not need to, Kowalski replied. Range to targets? Entering effective weapons range in 30 seconds. All human vessels, charge weapons to maximum. Prepare to fire on my mark. The 30 seconds felt like hours. Vreks fire continued to hammer the human fleet. 2 council ships exploded as plasma torpedoes overwhelmed their inferior shields. 5 more sustained critical damage, but the humans held formation, absorbing punishment, waiting for their moment. Range achieved, Admiral. Fire. 550 human warships unleashed hell simultaneously, railguns firing in synchronized salvos, antimatter torpedoes launched in carefully calculated spreads, drone swarms deploying by the 100,000. The amount of destructive energy released in that single moment exceeded the total output of many stars. The Vrex central prong simply ceased to exist. 8,000 warships caught in the cone of fire vaporized, crippled, or went spinning out of control with catastrophic damage. The humans had concentrated their fire rather than spreading it. They chose to annihilate one section of the Vrex fleet completely, rather than damage all of it partially. Central prong eliminated, Chen reported with barely concealed awe. Enemy forces on flanks are adjusting formation. They are pulling back to regroup. Do not let them, Kowalski ordered. All squadrons pursue and engage. Keep them off balance. Do not give them time to coordinate a response. The human fleet split into multiple task forces, each one moving independently but in coordination with the others. This was the advantage of extensive training and AI-assisted tactical coordination. They could maintain unified strategy while allowing individual commanders tactical flexibility. Fleet Commander Vormak watched his tactical display with growing horror. 8,000 ships gone just like that. The humans had done it again. Their weapons were simply too powerful. His numbers advantage was meaningless if they could kill thousands of his ships in seconds. All forces fall back to secondary positions, he ordered. We need to establish a defensive perimeter and force them to come to us. But the humans did not let him. They pressed their attack relentlessly, forcing Vrex ships to fight while out of position, preventing them from forming the coordinated defense Vormak needed. This was not the brute force victory of Proxima Secundus. This was skilled commanders using superior technology and better tactics to defeat an enemy that outnumbered them more than 20-1, and it was working. The battle raged for hours. Human ships darted through Vrex formations like sharks, their weapons tearing apart everything they touched. Council forces provided crucial support, their shields intercepting missiles meant for human vessels, their sensors extending the range at which human weapons could track targets. It was not perfect coordination. Ships still died. Mistakes were made. But the alliance held. Admiral Kowalski watched the casualty reports mount. 20 human ships destroyed, 37 damaged, 112 council vessels lost. Against those losses, the Vrex had lost over 17,000 warships. The numbers favored the alliance, but the cost was staggering. Every destroyed ship represented thousands of dead crew members. Every human casualty was someone who had trained and fought and trusted her command. Admiral, the Vrex are breaking formation, Webb reported. They are falling back across all sectors. It looks like a general retreat. Confirm it, Kowalski ordered. Make sure this is not a tactical withdrawal. Chen checked his displays. Confirmed. They are activating faster than light drives. The Vrex fleet is retreating from the system. A cheer went up across multiple bridges. Human and council crews celebrated together. They had done it. They had faced 30,000 Vrex warships and won. The impossible victory was theirs. But Kowalski did not celebrate. She studied the tactical display, watching the remaining Vrex ships flee. 13,000 had escaped. 13,000 warships still existed. The Vrex were not destroyed. They were defeated, yes, bloodied, but not eliminated. Status report, she ordered. 20 human ships destroyed, 37 damaged but repairable, Webb replied. Council forces report 112 vessels destroyed, 240 damaged. We sustained approximately 15% casualties. The Vrex lost over half their fleet. Will they come back? Someone asked. Kowalski was quiet for a moment. Eventually, maybe. But not soon. We broke their main force. It will take years for them to rebuild. Maybe decades. And by then, we will be even stronger. She opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, excellent work today. You fought with courage and skill. The victory is yours. Well done. Another cheer echoed through the fleet. This time, Kowalski allowed herself a small smile. They had earned this moment. They had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed. That was worth celebrating. Ambassador Thelrix appeared on her view screen, his mandibles clicking with obvious joy. Admiral, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you. You saved us. You saved all of us. We saved each other, Ambassador, Kowalski replied. Your ships fought bravely. Your people died alongside ours. This victory belongs to the Alliance, not just humanity. The Council will not forget what happened here, Thelric said seriously. We came into this war divided and desperate. We emerged united and victorious. That is the gift humanity gave us. Not just military aid, but the example of what we could be when we work together. Ambassador, I have a request, Kowalski said. Anything, Admiral. Formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Council. Full membership. Equal voting rights. Mutual defense pact. The works. It is time we stopped being outsiders looking in. It is time we became part of this galaxy properly. Thelric's mandibles clicked rapidly with surprise and pleasure. Admiral, I will personally sponsor that proposal. After today, I doubt anyone will vote against it. Welcome home, humanity. Welcome home. As the fleet began organizing rescue operations and damage assessment, Kowalski looked out at the stars. 200 years ago, humanity had been rejected, cast out, told they were too dangerous. Today, they had proven that assessment both right and wrong. They were dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. But they were dangerous to the right people. To threats. To enemies. To those who would harm the innocent. And now finally they were coming home. Not as conquerors. Not as saviors. But as equals. As partners. As members of a galaxy that was learning that sometimes you needed dangerous allies to face dangerous threats. Her grandmother had been on the Aurora colony when it was abandoned. Kowalski had grown up hearing stories of how the Council turned its back on humanity when they needed help. That betrayal had shaped human policy for 2 centuries. But now she thought perhaps they could move past it. Perhaps the wounds could heal. Commander Webb, she said quietly. Yes, Admiral. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the war's over. Tell them we won. Tell them we are coming home. And tell them we are not alone anymore. Webb smiled. Aye, Admiral. It will be my pleasure. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread even faster than before. 30,000 Virex warships defeated. The Alliance victorious. Humanity proven. The Council saved. Within days, the entire galactic community knew what had happened. Within weeks, the political landscape changed completely. Species that had been neutral suddenly wanted human technology. Civilizations that had been skeptical now sought alliances. The Vrex, humbled and defeated, retreated to their core worlds and went silent. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy was at peace. The Galactic Council formally invited humanity to join as full members. The vote was unanimous. Even Ambassador Velktar voted in favor, recognizing that opposing humanity now would be both pointless and dangerous. Earth accepted the invitation, and for the first time in 200 years, humans walked the halls of the Council as equals rather than petitioners. Admiral Kowalski was offered multiple promotions and honors. She declined most of them. She did accept one, a joint commission as both Earth Defense Fleet Admiral and Council Military Advisor. Someone had to make sure the alliance held. Someone had to ensure that humans and aliens continued working together. She would be that bridge. Years later, historians would look back at the Battle of Kepler Gate as the turning point. The moment when humanity rejoined galactic civilization. The moment when the Council learned that unity made them stronger. The moment when the Vrex learned that there were species they could not defeat. But for those who fought there, who bled there, who lost friends there, it would always be something simpler. The day they proved that working together even the impossible could be achieved. The day humanity stopped being the scary outsiders and became trusted allies. The day the galaxy learned that sometimes the most dangerous species can also be the most valuable friends. Admiral Sarah Kowalski stood in her quarters aboard the Prometheus, looking at a photo of her grandmother. The woman who had survived the Aurora colony abandonment. The woman who had instilled in young Sarah a healthy distrust of aliens and a burning determination to ensure Earth would never be vulnerable again. We did it, Babcia, Kowalski whispered in Polish. We made them respect us. We made them see us as equals, and we did it without becoming the monsters they feared. I hope that makes you proud. Outside her window, human and alien ships worked side by side, repairing damage, tending wounded, sharing supplies. The barriers were not gone. Trust was still fragile, but it was a start. A real start. And sometimes, Kowalski thought, that is all you can ask for. A chance to prove yourself. A chance to build something better. A chance to turn former enemies into future friends. Humanity had been given that chance. And they had seized it with both hands. The war was over. But the real work, the work of building lasting peace, was just beginning. It would take years, decades, generations maybe, but for the first time in 200 years humanity and the galaxy were working toward that goal together. And that was worth everything they had sacrificed to achieve it. Admiral Olivia Martinez stared at the holographic display showing the remains of humanity's fleet. Only 43 ships out of 200 survived the battle at Proxima Centauri. She rubbed her tired eyes, trying to focus. They'll reach Jupiter's moons in 6 days, said Lieutenant Ryan Collins, pointing to the red dots representing the Crixian warships. Earth has maybe 3 weeks after that. The command center of Earth Defense Headquarters was quiet. Most officers had stopped talking hours ago. The defeat at Proxima Centauri had crushed their spirits. How many civilians on the Jupiter stations? Olivia asked. Almost 5 million, said Commander Samantha Blackwell. Her face was scarred from a previous battle with the Crixians. We've started evacuations, but we need more time. Olivia nodded. Time was the one thing they didn't have. The Crixian Empire had appeared in human space 2 years ago. At first they seemed interested in trade. Then without warning they attacked the outer colonies. Their ships were partly organic, able to heal damage during battle. Their weapons cut through human shields like they weren't even there. We should consider talking to them, said General Peter Howard. He was the oldest military leader left. Maybe we can surrender with terms that save some lives. The Crixians don't take prisoners, sir, said Samantha. They've killed every human they've captured. Ryan Collins cleared his throat. Admiral, I have an idea. It's not conventional, but at this point, Lieutenant, I'll take any ideas, Olivia said. Ryan brought up a file on the main screen. Project Prometheus. It's a secret program developing neural-enhanced battlesuits. General Howard frowned. Those tests killed most of the volunteers. That was the early version, Ryan said. Dr. Wright has made breakthroughs. The suits work now, but they permanently change the person wearing them. Olivia looked at the data. The suits increased human strength and speed by 10 times. The neural link lets soldiers react faster than any normal human could. And we have these suits ready? She asked. 30 prototypes, Ryan said. We need volunteers who know they might never be the same again. Olivia stared at the display showing the Crixian fleet moving toward Earth. Make the call. Dr. Alan Wright led Olivia and Ryan through the underground facility in the Appalachian Mountains. The elevator took them deeper than Olivia expected. How long has this been here? She asked. Project Prometheus started right after the first Crixian attack, Alan said. The government knew we needed something to match their strength. They entered a large room with high ceilings. In the center stood Major Eric Daniels watching several soldiers in training exercises. Admiral on deck, Eric called out. The soldiers stopped and stood at attention. At ease, Olivia said. Major Daniels, I've come about your success with the neural interface. Eric nodded and led them to a viewing area overlooking a testing chamber. We've had our first successful neural bonding. Captain Rivera, would you demonstrate? A woman in a black bodysuit entered the chamber below. Captain, Lisa Rivera looked ordinary until she put on what looked like a thin metal backpack. The moment it touched her spine, silvery lines spread across her body, covering her in a second skin of metal and circuitry. Beginning combat trial, said a voice over the speakers. 6 combat robots entered the chamber, each twice the size of Lisa. She stood calmly, waiting. The robots attacked all at once. What happened next made Olivia's jaw drop. Lisa moved so fast, she seemed to blur. She jumped 15 feet into the air, flipped over the first robot, and punched straight through its metal chest. Before the others could react, she was already attacking the second and third robots. In less than 30 seconds, all 6 robots lay destroyed. This is what the neural enhancement does, Alan explained. The suit connects directly to the brain, bypassing normal human limitations. Captain Rivera can process information 10 times faster than normal, and has strength that matches Crixian soldiers. Lisa removed her suit and joined them. Her eyes had a strange glow to them. "The changes are permanent," she said, seeing Olivia notice her eyes. "The neural pathways adapt to the faster processing speed. I can't go back to being normal now." "Is it painful?" Olivia asked. "The bonding process is," Lisa admitted. "And everything seems too slow now when I'm not wearing the suit. But it's worth it if we can stop the Crixians." 3 days later, Olivia addressed 30 volunteers. They stood in a line in the underground facility, each one a soldier who had seen what the Crixians did to human colonies. "I won't lie to you," she said. "This process will change you forever. Once the neural bonding is complete, you won't be the same. Some of you might not survive the procedure. But without this, Earth will fall." Sergeant William Porter stepped forward. "With respect, Admiral, we've all made our choice. We've seen what happens when the Crixians win. If changing ourselves gives humanity a chance, we're ready." Dr. Grace Nelson, the neuroscientist who designed the neural interface, explained the process. "Your brains will form new connections with the suit. This will enhance your natural abilities and let you process information much faster. The suits will become part of you." The volunteers went to prepare for the procedure. Olivia watched them, feeling both hope and guilt. "You're asking a lot of them," Eric said, standing beside her. "Too much," Olivia admitted. "But what choice do we have?" News arrived that the Crixian fleet had destroyed the Jupiter defense stations. Millions of civilians died trying to evacuate. On Earth, people packed into evacuation centers, though everyone knew there was nowhere to run. In the medical wing of the Prometheus facility, Olivia watched as the volunteers underwent the neural bonding procedure. Sergeant Porter was strapped to a table, a metallic device connected to his spine. His body arched in pain as the neural pathways formed. "His vitals are stable," said Dr. Nelson, monitoring the process. "The bond is taking." Alan studied the readings. "Something interesting is happening. The human brain is adapting faster than we expected. It's almost like..." "Like what?" Olivia asked. "Like the human mind was made for this," Alan said. "The Crixians evolved on a high-gravity world. They're naturally stronger than us, but humans are more adaptable. Our brains form new connections more easily." One by one, the volunteers completed the process. 27 survived. They stood together, their eyes now glowing slightly, their movements precise and controlled. Captain Rivera, now using the call sign Phoenix, spoke for the group. "We're ready, Admiral. When do we fight?" Olivia looked at the soldiers who had given up their humanity to save Earth. "The Crixian scout ships will reach Mars tomorrow. That's where you'll make first contact." As the newly enhanced soldiers prepared for battle, Olivia wondered if they could really turn the tide of a war that seemed already lost. But watching them move with impossible speed and strength, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. The underground facility hummed with activity as the 27 enhanced soldiers prepared for their first mission. Each wore a thin bodysuit that would connect with their neural implants. The suits were black with faint silver lines running through them, matching the metallic glow in the soldiers' eyes. Major Eric Daniels entered the armory where the soldiers were checking their equipment. They moved with strange grace, too fluid and precise to be normal. "How do you feel?" Eric asked. Sergeant Porter, now going by the call sign Anvil. "Different," Anvil said. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Everything seems slow. I can see the dust particles in the air. I can hear your heartbeat from across the room." Phoenix approached them, carrying what looked like a small pistol. "The neural link also changes how we think. I can process multiple problems at once now. It's like having several brains working together." Dr. Nelson monitored their vital signs through a tablet. "Your bodies are still adjusting. The neural pathways are still forming. You might experience some discomfort." Lieutenant Frank Miller, call sign Ghost, smiled slightly. "Discomfort is better than what Earth will feel if we fail." The enhanced soldiers moved to the training area for their final exercises before deployment. Standard training dummies were useless now. They practiced against high-speed robotic opponents programmed to mimic Crixian movements. Corporal Diane Washington, call-sign Quicksilver, moved through the combat simulation like a blur. She disabled 10 robots in under 15 seconds. Admiral Martinez watched from the observation deck with Dr. Wright and Dr. Nelson. "They're faster than we expected," Alan said, checking the data. "Their reaction times are beyond anything we've measured before." Grace nodded. "The human brain is surprisingly adaptable. Their neural networks have reconfigured themselves to process information at incredible speeds." "Are they still human?" Olivia asked quietly. Grace looked troubled. "Biologically, yes, but their experience of the world is fundamentally different now. They perceive time differently. Their emotional responses are changing too." "Changing how?" Olivia asked. "They're more focused, less distracted by fear or doubt," Grace explained. "It's not that they don't feel emotions, but they process them differently, more efficiently." Olivia watched as Phoenix took down a simulation of a Crixian heavy trooper with her bare hands. "Will they be able to return to normal life after this?" "No," Alan said simply. "The changes are permanent. Even if we remove the implants, their brains have been rewired. They'll never perceive the world the way they did before." The Prometheus soldiers boarded their stealth transport ship. The vessel was small, designed to slip past Crixian sensors rather than engage in direct combat. Its hull was coated with materials that absorbed rather than reflected scans. Phoenix took command, with Anvil as her second. Ghost handled navigation, while Quicksilver monitored enemy communications. The rest of the team secured their equipment and prepared for the mission. "Mission parameters are clear," Phoenix said, her voice steady. "We intercept the Crixian scout vessel near Mars, capture it intact if possible, and gather intelligence on their main fleet." The transport lifted off from the hidden base and accelerated toward Mars. The journey would take 12 hours at maximum speed. "Crixian forces have destroyed the Mars research colonies," Ghost reported, looking at the sensor data. "No survivors detected." Anvil checked his weapon, a modified pulse rifle designed to penetrate Crixian armor. "They never leave survivors." Phoenix studied the tactical display. "The scout vessel will pass near Phobos in approximately 10 hours. We'll intercept them there." As they traveled, the soldiers checked their equipment one final time. The neural link allowed them to interface directly with their weapons and the ship's systems. Information flowed directly into their minds without the need for screens or displays. "Do you ever think about what happens if we win?" asked Quicksilver, her fingers moving rapidly over the communications console. "When we win," corrected Ghost. "We're too different now," Anvil said. "There's no going back to who we were." Phoenix looked at her team. "We knew the cost when we volunteered. This isn't about our future. It's about making sure humanity has one." The Crixian scout ship moved through the Martian orbit, its organic metal, hull shimmering slightly as it changed color to match the surrounding space. It was 3 times larger than the human transport, with weapons that could destroy a normal human vessel in seconds. "Holding position behind Phobos," Ghost said, his fingers dancing over the controls without looking. "Crixian vessel approaching in 3 minutes." Phoenix addressed her team. "Remember, Crixians are physically stronger than unenhanced humans. Their reaction times are fast, but ours should be faster now. Their armor is vulnerable at the joints. Their vision is primarily motion-based. If you move slowly enough, they have trouble seeing you." The transport ship powered down to minimum systems, hiding in Phobos's shadow as the Crixian vessel passed nearby. "Now," Phoenix ordered. The transport surged forward, closing the distance to the Crixian ship before its sensors could detect the approach. The 27 enhanced soldiers moved to the airlock, their suits now fully activated, covering them in a second skin of responsive metal and circuitry. "Boarding in 10 seconds, Ghost announced. The transport attached itself to the Crixian ship's hull. Special cutting tools created an opening large enough for the soldiers to enter. They moved in groups of 3, flowing through the breach like mercury. Inside, the Crixian ship was warm and humid. The walls pulsed slightly, a reminder of the vessel's partially organic nature. The first group of Crixian soldiers they encountered were caught by surprise. The Crixians were tall, easily 7 feet, with ridged exoskeletons and 4 arms. They reached for their weapons, but the enhanced humans moved faster than the aliens could track. Phoenix reached the first Crixian before it could raise its weapon. Her enhanced strength allowed her to punch through its chest armor, striking vital organs. Anvil and Ghost took down 2 more with precise shots to the joint areas where the armor was weakest. The Prometheus soldiers moved through the ship like ghosts. Their neural enhancements allowed them to process the ship's layout instantly, identifying optimal paths and potential threats. "Command center ahead," Phoenix said through the neural link that connected all the soldiers. 12 Crixians inside. The team positioned themselves around the entrances to the command center. With perfect synchronization, they breached the doors from 3 directions simultaneously. The Crixian commander, a larger specimen with more elaborate armor, barked orders in their clicking language. The bridge crew raised weapons, but they were too slow. The battle lasted 9 seconds. When it ended, all Crixians were down, and the enhanced humans had control of the ship. Phoenix approached the main console. She placed her hand on the interface, and to everyone's surprise, the neural implants in her brain began to interact with the Crixian systems. "I can access their database," she said, her eyes moving rapidly as information flowed into her mind. "The main fleet is commanded by High Commander Tazaral. They have a dreadnought called the Void Cleaver. It's enormous." Anvil joined her at the console. "Any weaknesses?" "Their ships are controlled through a neural network, similar to our implants but on a larger scale," Phoenix said. "They never expected to encounter another species with neural technology. There might be a way to use that against them." Ghost secured the ship's communication systems. "We should inform Earth Command of our success." Phoenix nodded, still connected to the Crixian systems. "Tell them we've captured the scout ship intact, and tell them we've found a potential weakness in the Crixian fleet. For the first time since the war began, humanity had won a battle against the Crixians. It was small, just 1 ship, but it was a start." As Phoenix downloaded the Crixian tactical data, she allowed herself a brief moment of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could save Earth after all. Admiral Martinez could hardly believe the report in front of her. The enhanced soldiers had captured a Crixian scout ship with no casualties on their side. It was the first victory against the aliens since the war began. "They're bringing the ship to Earth orbit," she told the gathered military leaders in the command center. "Phoenix says they discovered valuable information about the Crixian fleet." General Howard shook his head in amazement. "One small team did what our entire fleet couldn't do." "The neural enhancements worked better than expected," said Dr. Wright, who had just arrived from the Prometheus facility. "Their ability to process information and react is beyond anything we predicted." Commander Blackwell studied the tactical display showing the Crixian main fleet approaching Earth. "Will it be enough?" "There are thousands of Crixian ships coming." Olivia had no answer for that. Even with enhanced soldiers, they were still badly outnumbered. The captured Crixian scout ship, now under human control, docked at a secret orbital station above Earth. Phoenix and her team exited first, their movements fluid and precise. Admiral Martinez met them in the docking bay. This was her first time seeing the enhanced soldiers since the procedure, and she was struck by how different they seemed. They moved too smoothly. Their eyes glowed faintly, and they scanned the room in a way that seemed more machine than human. "Captain Rivera, Phoenix," Olivia corrected herself. "Congratulations on your success." Phoenix nodded. "Thank you, Admiral. We've discovered critical information about the Crixian command structure and their dreadnought, the Void Cleaver." They moved to a secure briefing room. The enhanced soldiers stood while everyone else sat, as if sitting felt unnatural to them. "Now, the Crixian ships are partly organic," Phoenix explained, displaying images from the captured vessel. "They're controlled through a neural network similar to our implants, but on a larger scale. Their entire fleet is connected through this network. Can we use that against them?" Olivia asked. "Possibly," said Ghost. "When we interfaced with their systems, they had no defenses against us. They never expected to encounter another species. with neural technology. Anvil continued the explanation. Their High Commander Tazral directly controls the fleet through this network. He's never lost a battle and believes humans are physically inferior. Dr. Nelson, who had accompanied Dr. Wright to the station, studied the Prometheus soldiers with concern. How are you all adapting to the neural changes? We're functioning at optimal capacity, Quicksilver replied, her voice unnervingly even. Grace looked troubled by this response. Are you experiencing any discomfort or unusual thoughts? Phoenix seemed to understand the doctor's concern. We're still human, Dr. Nelson. We just process information differently now. Emotions are more controlled, easier to compartmentalize. Olivia reviewed the tactical data they had gathered. According to this, the main Crixian fleet will reach Earth in 3 days. Their dreadnought has enough firepower to destroy our remaining defenses in hours. We have a plan, Phoenix said. We need to attack the Void Cleaver directly. If we can capture or disable it, we might be able to disrupt the entire Crixian command structure. That's suicide, said General Howard. Even with your enhancements, you can't take on an entire dreadnought. We can, Anvil said with absolute certainty. Our neural interfaces give us an advantage they don't expect. We can move faster than their tracking systems and interface with their technology. Olivia looked at the enhanced soldiers. They were humanity's last hope. What do you need from us? High Commander Tazral stood on the command deck of the Void Cleaver, watching as his fleet approached the human homeworld. He was tall even for a Crixian, with a heavily armored exoskeleton and ceremonial scars marking his many victories. Status of the human defenses? He asked his second-in-command. Minimal resistance expected, High Commander, replied Sub-Commander Vexicor. Their remaining fleet is gathered around their planet. They have nowhere left to run. Tazral clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. These humans are strange creatures, physically weak, yet they continue to fight long after any sensible species would surrender. We lost contact with scout vessel, Dagger 6 near the Red Planet, Vexicor reported. A malfunction, most likely. Tazral dismissed the concern. No human weapon has penetrated our armor. Prepare the fleet for the final assault. What Tazral didn't know was that 30 specialized assault craft were about to launch from Earth. Each carried a small team of enhanced human soldiers. The assault craft were small and fast, designed to avoid detection. The enhanced soldiers sat silently inside, their neural implants connecting them to their ship's systems. All teams report ready, Ghost said, looking at Phoenix. She nodded. Remember the plan. Teams 1 through 10 target the support ships. Teams 11 through 20 focus on the cruisers. Our team goes straight for the Void Cleaver. The craft launched silently from Earth's orbit, accelerating toward the approaching Crixian fleet. Thanks to technology from the captured scout ship, they were able to mimic Crixian signatures, allowing them to approach unchallenged. 2 minutes to contact, Anvil announced. Phoenix looked at her team. Once we're aboard the Void Cleaver, we head straight for the central neural hub. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to disable their entire fleet. The assault craft slipped between the massive Crixian warships. The Void Cleaver dominated the center of the formation, a massive vessel that looked like a cross between a living creature and a machine. Its surface rippled slightly, armor plates shifting to protect vulnerable areas. They've spotted us, Quicksilver announced. Defensive systems activating. Energy weapons fired from the Crixian ships, but the small, human craft were too fast and maneuverable. The enhanced soldiers' reaction times allowed them to navigate between the energy blasts with perfect precision. Phoenix's craft reached the hull of the Void Cleaver. Magnetic clamps secured them to the surface, and cutting tools began to create an entry point. We're in, Anvil said as the hull breached. The enhanced soldiers moved into the Crixian flagship, their bodies covered in the responsive metal of their suits. Inside, the ship was warm and humid, with corridors that seemed partly grown rather than built. Crixian soldiers moved to intercept them, but the enhanced humans were faster. Phoenix dodged an energy blast and closed with the first Crixian, her enhanced strength allowing her to tear through its armor. Anvil engaged 2 more, moving so quickly the aliens couldn't track him. This way, Ghost said, accessing a mental map of the ship they had taken from the scout vessel. Neural hub is 3 levels down. They fought their way through the ship, surprising the Crixians with their speed and strength. The aliens had never faced humans who could match or exceed their physical abilities. As they approached the neural hub, they encountered heavier resistance. Elite Crixian guards with advanced armor and weapons blocked their path. Tazral knows we're here, Phoenix said, taking cover as energy blasts struck around them. He's protecting the hub. Quicksilver analyzed the situation in milliseconds. There's another way in through the maintenance tunnels. The enhanced soldiers moved with perfect coordination, some providing covering fire while others slipped into narrow tunnels that ran between the ship's main corridors. These spaces were designed for maintenance drones, not warriors, but the humans moved through them easily. They emerged directly into the neural hub, a large chamber filled with pulsing organic-looking technology. In the center stood High Commander Tazral, his armor more elaborate than the other Crixians. He turned to face the humans, mandibles clicking in surprise. "Impossible," he said in heavily accented English. "No human can move like that." Phoenix stepped forward. "We're something new, Commander. Something you didn't prepare for." For the first time in his long military career, Tazral felt something unfamiliar. Fear. Tazral recovered quickly from his surprise. He raised his energy weapon and fired at Phoenix. She moved with impossible speed, dodging the blast and closing the distance between them in less than a second. "Your weapons are useless if they can't hit us," Phoenix said, knocking the weapon from Tazral's hands. The Crixian commander used all 4 of his arms to strike back, his natural strength impressive even without weapons. But the enhanced humans were faster, their neural implants allowing them to predict his movements before he made them. Anvil and Ghost engaged the other Crixians in the room, while Quicksilver moved to the neural hub controls. She placed her hands on the interface, letting her neural implants connect with the Crixian system. "I'm in their network," she said, her eyes moving rapidly as information flowed into her mind. "It's complex, but similar enough to our technology that I can navigate it." Phoenix dodged another attack from Tazral and struck back, her enhanced strength cracking his armor. The Crixian commander hissed in pain and surprise. "What are you?" he demanded. "No human has ever damaged my battle armor. We are humanity's answer to extinction," Phoenix replied, continuing her attack. "We gave up our normal lives to stop you." Across the Void Cleaver, other enhanced human teams were securing key systems. Similar battles were happening throughout the Crixian fleet as the remaining Prometheus soldiers targeted enemy ships. In Earth's orbit, Admiral Martinez watched the tactical display with growing hope. The Crixian fleet, which had moved with perfect coordination before, now seemed confused. Ships were breaking formation, some firing on empty space. "What's happening?" she asked Dr. Wright, who was monitoring the enhanced soldiers' neural activity. "They're disrupting the Crixian neural network," Alan explained. "The entire fleet is connected through it. Our soldiers are creating chaos in their system." On the Void Cleaver, Quicksilver worked quickly at the neural hub. "I found their command protocols. If I can override them, we might be able to shut down their weapon systems." Tazral realized what she was doing and broke away from his fight with Phoenix. "Stop, you'll destroy us all." He lunged toward Quicksilver. Anvil intercepted him, moving faster than the Crixian could track. "Not today," he said, driving his fist into a crack in Tazral's armor. The Crixian commander fell back, green blood seeping from the wound. Phoenix joined Quicksilver at the control interface. "What have you found?" "Their entire fleet is controlled through this hub," Quicksilver explained. "Tazral uses it to direct thousands of ships at once, but it has a weakness. If we send a specific shutdown command through the network, we might be able to temporarily disable their ships." "Do it," Phoenix ordered. Quicksilver's fingers moved across the alien controls, her neural implants allowing her to understand the Crixian technology. "Sending shutdown command now." Throughout the Crixian fleet, systems began to fail. Weapon platforms powered down, engines stopped. Communication systems went silent. Tazral watched in horror as his mighty armada became helpless. "What have you done?" he demanded. We've given humanity a chance, Phoenix replied. On Earth, Admiral Martinez received reports of the Crixian fleet's sudden power loss. She immediately ordered the remaining human ships to move in. All vessels, target the disabled Crixian ships, she commanded. Priority on their weapon systems and engines. We want to make sure they stay down. Commander Blackwell looked at the display in amazement. It's working. The Crixians are vulnerable. What about our people on those ships? Olivia asked Dr. Wright. They're still active, he reported, monitoring their neural signatures. The shutdown didn't affect their implants. On the Void Cleaver, Tazaral had ordered his personal guard to the neural hub. Enhanced humans fought Crixian elites in brutal close combat throughout the massive ship. Phoenix, her suit damaged from multiple energy weapon hits, faced Tazaral again. The Crixian commander had activated his own neural enhancement, a technology reserved only for the highest-ranking Crixians. You are more than I expected, human, Tazaral admitted, his movements now faster than before. But I have conquered 17 worlds. I will not lose to a species as young as yours. Age doesn't matter, Phoenix replied. Adaptability does. That's always been humanity's strength. They clashed again, moving so quickly that normal eyes couldn't follow. Tazral's experience and natural strength made him a formidable opponent, even against Phoenix's enhancements. Quicksilver worked frantically at the neural hub. Something's wrong. The system is trying to restart. Tazral must have a backup protocol. Ghost joined her, his own neural implants connecting to the system. We need to send a more permanent shutdown command, something that will disable their fleet long enough for our ships to disable them. Anvil fought off 3 elite Crixian guards, his movements blurring as he dodged energy blasts and struck with enhanced strength. Whatever you're doing, do it fast. Across the Crixian fleet, systems were beginning to come back online. The window of opportunity was closing. Phoenix realized they needed a more permanent solution. As she fought Tazaral, she accessed the knowledge they had gained from the captured scout ship. There was one option left. Quicksilver, she called out, access the fleet's self-preservation protocols. Every ship has them. Quicksilver understood immediately. If I can trigger the emergency shutdown, it will keep their systems offline for at least an hour. Do it, Phoenix ordered, blocking a powerful strike from Tazaral. Tazaral realized what they were planning. No, stop them, he ordered his remaining guards. But it was too late. Quicksilver had accessed the emergency systems. With a few final commands, she triggered the protocol. Throughout the Crixian fleet, systems shut down completely. Emergency lights activated as the ships entered their most basic survival mode, designed to preserve the crew at the cost of all offensive capabilities. Tazaral roared in anger as his mighty armada became helpless. For the first time in his long career of conquest, he faced defeat. Surrender, Commander, Phoenix said, standing over the wounded Crixian. Your fleet is disabled. Earth ships are moving in now. This war is over. Tazaral stared at the human with his alien eyes. How? How did creatures as fragile as humans defeat the Crixian Empire? We were willing to change ourselves to survive, Phoenix replied, to become something new. That's what you never understood about us. Outside, Earth's remaining ships moved among the disabled Crixian vessels, targeting weapons and propulsion systems to ensure they couldn't reactivate. For the first time since the Crixian invasion began, humanity had the upper hand. The war wasn't over yet, but the tide had turned. Admiral Martinez's voice came through Phoenix's comm system. Captain, status report. Phoenix looked at Tazaral, the once mighty commander now defeated. The Void Cleaver is secure, Admiral. The Crixian fleet is disabled. We've won this battle. Across Earth, people watched in disbelief as news spread of the impossible victory. The enhanced soldiers, who had given up their humanity to save their species, had accomplished what no one thought possible. They had defeated the undefeatable. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Martinez stood on the observation deck of Earth Defense Headquarters. Below, the blue planet seemed peaceful, though scars from Crixian attacks marked some areas. Above, the captured alien ships floated in orbit, now under human control. The door opened and Phoenix entered. Like all the enhanced soldiers, she moved with unnatural grace. Her eyes still had that metallic glow, a constant reminder of how much she had changed. "Admiral," she greeted Olivia. "You wanted to see me." "Yes. The Crixian leaders are ready to discuss surrender terms," Olivia said. "You should be there. You made this possible." Phoenix looked out at Earth. We all did. Every soldier who fought, every civilian who kept going despite the attacks. "How are the others?" Olivia asked. 12 of the enhanced soldiers died in the battle," Phoenix said, her voice steady but with a hint of sadness. "The rest of us are adapting to our new existence." She didn't need to elaborate. The neural enhancements had changed them permanently. They processed information differently, experienced time differently. They could never return to normal human life. "Anvil took it the hardest," Phoenix continued. "He has a family. Children. They're afraid of what he's become." Olivia nodded sadly. The victory had come at a great cost, not just in lives lost, but in lives forever altered. The meeting with the Crixian delegation took place aboard a neutral station in Earth orbit. Tazral, now a prisoner of war, sat with 3 other high-ranking Crixians. Their once proud posture was gone, replaced by defeat. Admiral Martinez led the human delegation with Phoenix, Dr. Wright, and General Howard beside her. "Your fleet is disabled," Olivia stated. "Your dreadnought is under our control. Are you authorized to surrender on behalf of the Crixian Empire?" Tazral's alien eyes fixed on Phoenix. "Yes. The High Council has granted me this authority, though they never expected I would need to use it." "These are our terms," Olivia said, displaying a document. "Immediate withdrawal of all Crixian forces from human space. Return of all human prisoners. Reparations for destroyed colonies. And what guarantees do we have that you won't use your new warriors to attack our homeworld?" Tazral asked, gesturing to Phoenix. "You've created soldiers that can defeat our best forces. What stops you from becoming conquerors yourselves?" "Unlike you, we don't seek to conquer," Olivia replied firmly. "We only want peace and the right to exist." Phoenix stepped forward. "The enhancements were a last resort, not a new direction, for humanity. We sacrificed our normal lives to stop your invasion." Tazral studied her. "Sacrifice. This is a concept we Crixians understand poorly. Our empire was built on strength, not sacrifice." "Perhaps that's why you lost," Phoenix said. Simply after hours of negotiation, the Crixians accepted the terms. The war that had nearly ended humanity was officially over. 1 month later, Phoenix stood with the surviving enhanced soldiers in a special facility built for them. Their unique needs made living among unenhanced humans difficult. They processed information too quickly, moved too fast, saw and heard things others couldn't. "What happens to us now?" asked Quicksilver, looking around at the facility. "The war is over. Do we just live here, separated from everyone else?" Ghost shrugged. "What choice do we have? We're not fully human anymore." Dr. Nelson entered the room, carrying new data on their condition. "We've been studying your neural patterns," she said. "The changes are permanent, but you might be able to learn to control them better, to slow yourselves down when interacting with others." "And if we can't?" Anvil asked. Grace had no good answer for that. Phoenix looked at her fellow soldiers. "We knew the cost when we volunteered. We gave up our normal lives to save humanity. And now we don't fit in the world we saved," Ghost said quietly. Admiral Martinez visited them later that day. She brought news from the government. "The world knows what you did," she told them. "How you sacrificed yourselves to save Earth. The president wants to honor you publicly." "As heroes or as curiosities?" Anvil asked. Olivia didn't sugarcoat it. "Both, probably. You're something new, something people don't understand yet." Phoenix stepped forward. "Admiral, we've been discussing our future. We can't go back to normal lives, but we can still serve. There are other threats out there besides the Crixians." "What are you suggesting?" Olivia asked. "A new division," Phoenix explained. "Enhanced soldiers serving as Earth's defenders against any future alien threats. We've already changed. Let us use that change to protect humanity. 6 months later, a ceremony took place at the newly established Prometheus Command Center. The 15 surviving enhanced soldiers stood in formation as world leaders and military officials gathered to officially recognize their new role. Admiral Martinez, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, addressed the crowd. Today, we honor those who gave everything to save our world. These soldiers volunteered for a mission from which they knew they could never return unchanged. They sacrificed their normal lives so that humanity could survive. Phoenix, officially appointed as commander of the Prometheus Division, stepped forward to speak. The crowd fell silent, some watching with awe, others with unease at her too perfect movements and glowing eyes. "We are not the same as we once were," she said, her voice carrying easily through the large hall. "The neural enhancements changed us permanently. We see the world differently now, process information differently, move differently." She looked at her fellow enhanced soldiers before continuing. "But in the most important ways, we are still human. We still feel. We still care about our world and our species. And we will continue to protect humanity, not because we are ordered to, but because it is still our home." As she spoke, news came in of a new contact at the edge of the solar system. Unknown ships, not Crixian, had appeared near Neptune. The enhanced soldiers received the information directly through their neural implants. They exchanged glances ready for whatever might come next. "It seems our work isn't done yet," Phoenix said, looking toward the stars. "Humanity faced extinction once and survived. Whatever comes next, we'll be ready." The Prometheus soldiers moved with perfect unity toward their ships. They were different now, changed in ways that separated them from other humans. But they had found a new purpose, guardians of a species that now had a second chance. As their ships launched toward the unknown contact, Phoenix felt something she hadn't experienced since before the enhancements. Pride. Not in herself, but in humanity. A species that, when faced with inevitable defeat, had found a way to change the meaning of the word inevitable. Earth watched as its guardians headed once more into space. The victory against the Crixians had taught humanity an important lesson. Nothing was truly unstoppable. Not even the most powerful enemy in the galaxy could stand against humans willing to sacrifice everything to protect their home.